So the problem in like a lot of the clients that I'm seeing, they have this concept in their head that a bathroom remodel is still going to be $10,000 in a way. They stuck in prices that, let's say pre-COVID, I would say. COVID gave a huge bump in cost of material, labor, and we've seen another bump in the last, I want to say in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years of labor cost, materials, copper, crazy prices. So copper touches all the roughs, which will any project you do is, the plumbing, the electrical, all working with that is bumping the price much higher. So for me, coming to a bathroom model and saying, you know what, it's going to cost you $25,000. Sometimes I get these looks of like, it's not going to be 12,000, like out the door.
Hello, everyone. Rick Albert here with another episode of The Key to the City of Angels. I'm super excited to have Mike Litman, CEO of Four Seasons Builders. Mike, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so why don't we kind of start with how did you get into this and kind of what projects are you working on?
Okay. How did I get into construction?
Yeah, like how did you get into this world?
Well, my brother have a construction company that's probably 20 years old, and I came to work with him, being a project manager. It was, I think, 2008 hit and, 2009-ish. And how, everything, timing is everything in life. And when I got here, everything, crashed. So I worked with him for a short period of time, and then wasn't a lot of work. So I ended up going for a different, larger construction company because I saw my future in that field. So I wanted to stay, and I have a little bit of experience. So I ended up working for a home improvement company that was huge. I manage, I want to say, between 25 to 30 projects at a time, driving all the way from, I would say, Long Beach to Oxnard and San Bernardino area. So I did around 90,000 miles a year being a project manager. But what it gives me, I couldn't last long there because it was wearing you off. Like my parents came to visit and they saw me, like I was like 25 hours a day on my phone, even though there's 24. So it's like, it was so like demanding. But from the other hand, I learned what people would learn in, 9-10 years. I learned in 2-3 years because of it was so high pace. But I also learned a lot of things that I don't want to have in my business, and a lot of what not to do and things that I didn't like when I seen in other businesses. So I got to see everything in that period of time, and I learned a lot from it. Being a project manager for 2 years, and then I was in sales for 1 year. While doing sales, I started working towards my own license and opening my own company. So, and that was, I want to say, almost 12 years ago. And yeah, a rough start like everybody else as a business, a newborn. And yeah, it was stressful. As you can see, I have a lot of gray hair. That's all.
You just salt and pepper. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I say salt and salt, but yes, I'll take it. Yeah. So yeah.
It was funny. Yeah. One of my first jobs was also as a project manager for a developer. And I can totally relate to the driving because I remember spending 8 hours a day making 4 stops in LA because there was so much traffic everywhere.
Yes.
And I remember one of my supervisors at the time was like, Rick, you need to be more like, basically do a better job with time management. I'm like, you don't understand. I have to do all my driving within a certain period, not because of efficiency, but because of traffic.
Right.
Like if there's no traffic between 10 and 2, I have to get all my driving done.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but I learned about every single neighborhood in LA.
You know
right?
what?
It's the crash course.
So I want to tell you, before that, I was here 2004, working at his still friend and his kids. He had his own company and his kids worked for him. And I worked there for a short period of time. I want to say 6 months. But coming here, I had this garbage car like that I had oil, a bag of oil in the trunk. So every time I pumped gas, I had to also fill it up with oil because the motor will die if it would eat oil. But I remember no GPS, no navigation. only Thomas guide. And I remember within a month, you could throw me anywhere you want in LA. I would know how to get to the freeway, where to go, east, west, north,
Mm-hmm.
major streets. I knew the LA the back of my hand. Now, I guess you throw me without my GPS, I'm lost. Like it's so crazy. But back in the day, I used to know everywhere. I used to go everywhere. You have to pull over to find the street and coordinate and all that thing. It was such a different world 20 years ago.
Oh, it's funny because like one of the developers I worked with, he would always reference the house based on like directions. Like, hey, go to the east side of the house.
Yeah,
Go to the
yeah,
north side.
yeah.
I'm like, I don't
I
fucking
still do
know.
that. I still do that. I know my guy asked me, where's the panel box gonna be? It's gonna be in the east side of the house. And it's like, and you see him thinking, it's like, what? Where? Like most of the people don't do that anymore. I know.
I walked around with a compass. I had a compass on my keychain because I was like, I don't know what he's
That's
talking
amazing.
about.
I know.
But to your point, you learn, right? That you start getting a
Right.
sense of direction. And now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I know the north side. I know the south side. Now it's
Right.
like on your iWatch. Like now
Right.
it's like
Exactly.
much easier. But
Now you
I mean,
just
these are like
punch in the
first
address
world
and it drives
problems,
for you and take you there. It's like the Tesla
right?
car. So it's like bang, don't have to think about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So when you jumped into becoming a contractor in LA, what was that experience like? Like, what were some of the hurdles you had to go through?
On which period are you talking about? When I had my business or when I got into the construction in general?
When you started your own business, right? Because when you become your own contractor, it becomes a different, you
Right.
start going from kind of, what's the say, like cabinet maker to running a cabinet company, right? Like it's two different roles.
Right.
So what
The,
was your experience kind of jumping into it?
so the hardest thing I would say is to get new clients.
Hmm.
For me to, as a new business, is to find people that would like to do business with me. And you can work from word to mouth when you don't have, you didn't do that many. So for me, I started with, how do you call this company that you buy leads from? Home Advisor.
Okay.
Those experiences make me feel like I did those. My drive was that I don't want to go back there. That was my drive. Like I would
Yeah.
never want to do that. I had to be a telemarketer. I have to be a salesperson over the phone and a salesperson or project manager, all in one, just wearing different hats. I remember I used to buy like 10 leads or appointments from that home advisor. 9 out of them were like scams that that it's nothing. It's just either a wrong number, it doesn't exist, or people don't call you
Mm.
back. And then you're lucky if you get one person that answer your phone. So I would struggle with that. I really grind that. At the beginning, it was very hard. So, but what prevailed for me was the service. I believe that customer service go a long way, and for me that's what sticks out. And until this day, I have people that I did work for, 8, 10 years ago that still will call me either for advice or a small project, or their neighbors want to do work, and it makes you feel really good that you did something right when people still call you from when you just open your company. But for me, again, I still have clients that I'm constantly doing work 7, 8 years now, and that's the
Amazing.
best thing. Yeah, that's the best reward for me, at least.
As a realtor, like I know realtors where like I'm like, hey, how was business this year? And like, oh, it was great. But what I noticed with some of them, I've never heard when they was like, hey, how did you get that lead? Like we'll exchange how we do business because we all want to do better. But like I've met some realtors, I've never heard them saying they got a referral. It's
Yeah,
always been like, but like most of my business is referrals.
right. Me
So
too.
I was talking to someone about it, and I was like, I know some realtors, they never mention referral, and I'm like, and someone's like, that's because they didn't do a good enough job to leave an impression.
Right, right, right. And you know what? I want to say, there's, especially in construction, the line is, I felt like sometimes I had project, because each project and what we do as GC, each project, it's not a day or two or a week. Typically, even if it's a bathroom, it's at least 2.5, 3 weeks, right? That's the smallest
Right.
one. So you create some sort of relationship with those people, if you like them or not. You're invading their house in a way. You're invading their lives. You want to try to create a good impact, but no one likes strangers in their house. No one likes plastic hanging on their walls. No one wants that. I don't like it in my own house. I like to go with my,
Right.
pajamas and not be judged, right? So, but you try to make it as less as possible, invasive as possible. And I never got that doing construction. Even my 2 years that I did it in high volume and everything, I never got it until I remodeled my own house. I remember my wife was pregnant. She was 8 months pregnant, and we did our kitchen. We had a load-bearing wall removal, and I said, you know what? It's not a big deal. I'm doing it to people all the time. It's just gonna put a plastic and divide the house, and it wasn't gonna be fine. And I had a toddler, and I was like, it's not gonna be a problem. I moved her out literally the same day I started the job, because you don't consider, even if you mask everything, you still get the dust, still get the noise, you still get the toddler that will go over the plastic and pull everything. And that's, for me, that's what it really hits me. Like, you're going to someone else's house. It's much more than that. You have to respect their complaint. You have to respect how they see the situation they live in. And it for me, it was really a life-changing experience, and finally experiencing construction on your own skin, kind of a thing. So it even made me even more aware of trying to give a better experience to people and respect their, livable space, and be respectful for it. And not just say, oh, she complained because, there's a piece of dust in here, and complain. It's very easy to, say, just categorize it as like, oh, this person is so picky. Or no, everybody have their buttons. And for me, it was very important to see it from their own, side. And it really I feel it made my business much, much better in that way.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like all three properties I bought here in LA were all remodels. Like, they needed to be remodeled. Not that I
Right.
wanted to buy necessary remodels. It just happened to work out that way.
Uh-huh.
But I always did everything in my power, like, not to live there during the remodel.
Yeah, if you can
Right?
have it, that's a
If you
huge
can pull
plus.
it off. Yeah, it's almost like, hey, this job's going to take 2 or 3 weeks, go on vacation. Like,
Right.
the idea that
Yeah.
the crew can go in uninterrupted and just blow through, especially if there's no furniture,
At
like
least,
all
or
day,
at
every
least in the
day.
phase where it's like it's a mess, like the demo, the framing, all the roughs. If you can allow yourself being there out after the sanding of the drywall, I feel like it's more of a safe environment to come back if you choose to. I mean, if you don't have kids, but I
Right,
always
of
say,
course.
if you, huh?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, or if you don't work at home. But I feel like after primer on the drywall, it's kind of a safe. But still, if you can afford, or you have another place to go for that, yes, definitely. But most people, when they do, like, let's say a kitchen remodel, they don't have 2 months of going somewhere. It's, unfortunately.
So one of the tricks that I've done for myself and even for my investment properties is, let's say you buy a new property, typically your first mortgage payment isn't until the following month.
Right.
But if you close early enough, your first payment's not for 2 months.
If you set it up this way, yes.
And I've actually like the last house we bought, we purposely did that.
Oh,
I
wow.
purposely closed the first week of the month. So yes, your closing costs are higher, right? 'Cause you're prepaying.
Right.
So, but like conceptually, my first mortgage payment wasn't for 2 months. That gave me time to do the majority of the remodel, plus get my last house sold,
Yes.
and like do everything. And there was only 1 month I had to make 2 mortgage payments.
I wish I would talk to you before I did my own venture as well. No, those kind of things.
Hey, I'm happy to. I'm happy to.
Well, we're kind of almost 8 months late, but I had my endeavor of doing that for well, not a place I have to live, but also, as an investor as well, that it might not sound a lot, but that mortgage of 1 month, or giving you that breathing room, it means a lot, especially when you're towards the end and you want to, finish with everything. That 4 or 5, 6,000 now, because of interest rate, is, it makes a difference. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of talk about some of the building side of things. What are some of the challenges you're seeing in LA right now when it comes to building?
I would say cost. So the problem in, like, a lot of the clients that I'm seeing, they have this concept in their head that a bathroom remodel is still going to be $10,000 in a way. They stuck in prices that, let's say, pre-COVID, I would say. COVID gave a huge bump in cost of material, labor, and we've seen another bump in the last, I want to say, in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, of labor cost, materials, copper, crazy prices. So copper touches all the roughs, which will any project you do is, the plumbing, the electrical, all working with that is bumping the price much higher. So for me, coming to a bathroom model and saying, you know what, it's going to cost you $25,000. Sometimes I get these looks of like, it's not going to be 12,000 like out the door. I was like, so for me, expectations is very important. Setting up expectations coming to a project. And sometimes you feel like you need to do that. And this is just a small project. When you come and do a kitchen, when you come and do an addition or an ADU, it's completely off. People, a lot of people they're going, they find their own architect, they're creating the plans of grandiose something without thinking about the cost. And then they come in and see, oh, it's going to cost you 150,000. I was like, really? So the gap, to fill in the gap or try to make people see how it's going to go into that. How do you fill the gap and explain that to them? That for me was a big struggle to do. And I feel like it's more of a selective memory kind of a thing, because that's what people choose to remember. Like the bathroom in the early 2000s cost you 10,000. So that's what stick in their mind. And when they do it, that's what they see. So to fill in that gap I found it most of the common things that happens when I come and meet with someone that never did remodeling before, or only their parents did it. They never had the pain aspect of it. So for me, there's a big gap there because prices never comes down when it comes to material. It never comes down. If they bump the price, okay, it will go down by maybe 3%, but it never comes down to where it came from. Especially we saw it in COVID. There was this big spike. It came down a little bit, but it stayed around the same. So
I also wonder though, if suppliers are like, okay, prices bumped up 10%. Even if prices came down, if you're the supplier, it's like, well, why would I lower my prices?
Right. People
are already expecting it. Now I just made more money.
Right.
Like I win.
Right. That's the thing. That's the problem with that situation. And unfortunately, the people that end up paying for it is, the person who wants to remodel it. Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately.
So then so let's say I have a remodel and you're telling me like, look, this remodel just base is like $100,000. What are ways that they can scale back without like basically sacrificing quality?
So what I always
that's really difficult.
So quality is basically, I feel like quality is the contractor. It's all about the contractor choice. Okay. If you look into, because the way I approach it is I'm going to my clients and I say, hey, put your dream scenario, whatever you want. You want your kitchen, you want to do your most important thing for you that you want is a custom cabinet, and you want this color, and you want recessed light, you want a chandelier, you want everything high-end appliances, put it in there. Let's start with that. So I create the estimate for them with their dream scenario, right? And it comes to 150,000. And I say, where you want to be? I want to be in 120 or 100. Okay, let's prioritize. What's the most important to you that you don't want to compromise on? And let's say the cabinets. I want the cabinets to be solid wood. I want them to have pull out this. I want to have a pull out that. I want soft closing. I want those important things, And I can tell them, okay, you know what? You don't have to have custom for that. We can do prefabricated cabinets. They are built the same as custom. They have soft closing. We can customize it as much as possible. And you can get similar results with that. And the look, you have hundreds of options to choose from. And that will save you, 15,000. So it will get you close into your budget. So things like that I feel like people, they hear custom, it's already ding, 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 they hear the dollars going down the drain. There is a very creative solution to do certain things these days, because there is a lot of changes in construction over the years that I feel like that contribute, especially with cabinetry and things like that. The quality of the cabinets are amazing. And I feel like that custom, I would say I use custom cabinets, let's say, for instance, I want to say 1 out of 20 projects that I do, or 20 kitchens that I do, because only in certain, let's say, areas that, like Malibu or houses or certain neighborhoods that you have to have the custom or something that is unique, or to keep the same value of the property, that you have to have that. Or if it's a really weird shape kind of a kitchen, that you say, you know what, you need custom sizes in here and custom sizes in here, and you want the grandiose hood or those kind of things that you know at that point it's not worth customizing small part of the kitchen. Let's just customize the whole thing and just do that. So there is a lot of ways to, I feel, not compromise quality and still get something that is, you know, excellent and will last many years.
Yeah, I think you bring up something interesting because, like, I meet buyers and sellers all the time, and they do have a certain expectation. But I'm like, look, you're in Beverly Hills. That's one level of expectation that potential buyers have, or like even potential like tenants, right? Like, there's a difference. And people don't understand. There's a difference between like tenant quality and resale quality, right?
Right.
They don't know. I've gone through houses and people are like, oh, I need to gut the place. I'm like, you don't have to gut the place. The place is livable. They post it for rent. People come through saying this place is beautiful.
Right.
It's too different. It's just different
The
demographics.
expectations, yeah.
Right. They're not thinking long term. I remember, like, I'd never heard of the brand Pogan Pole. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it's like ultra high end that you'd see in like $10+ million homes.
Okay.
I had never heard of them. And then like I'm going through a house and like, oh, these are Pogan Pole cabinets. I'm like, I had no idea. Nor can I tell.
Yeah, I know. But it's all but kind of which points that are important to you. So for
Right.
some people, I know I had the same thing. I had this client and she was locked on those cabinets. And I'm like, you know, she asked me about that brand. I was like, you know, I need to get back to you on that. See, and I actually had that brand, but I never paid attention it was a prefabricated brand. And I was like, you know, she was so happy that I had it, but for me, it wasn't different than the other cabinets, other than the name.
Right.
Because the looks was very similar. It might have good rating, which that's what she was based. But she was so one of those people that do research about every little screw. So she was a challenge to work with. Amazing person. I'm not, again, it's not a critic, but she at the end of the day, she was so happy about her kitchen because she got her cabinets. But it's just whatever scratch your itch, right? It's whatever touches closer to you. Everybody have their own thing that is important to them. Me and my wife have so many different of like when I'm doing right now this investment. I'm building a two-story duplex from ground up and asking her opinions and her views of what's important to, let's say, even if I'm going to rent it or if I'm going to sell it, seeing her point of view about things that are important to her. Obviously, she's not on the cost side of things, so that doesn't affect her judgment on anything. So for her, it's like what attracts more, which is nice. It's appreciative on a certain angle because you want to hear what other people are seeing without, you know, that it doesn't ruin their opinion about things because of cost. You know, you get this, you know, clear view on things. So, and I'm on the other hand, I have to make sure that the cost is staying aligned and we're not exceeding our budget. And so it kind of bounced you off in a way. And so we ended up not choosing what she wanted or what I wanted. We finding something in the middle that will look great, but not kill our budget, which is compromising, right? Yeah.
Right. And I'm actually curious. Okay. So let's say you have a budget. How often does it go over budget? And have you noticed the contingency, like percentage amount, needs to be a certain amount? Like, for example, you know, at the high end, I hear people like, oh, you need 10% contingency. I know investors like, I have to put a 25% contingency for over budgeting.
Right.
Because there's always surprises. Have you noticed any like commonalities in terms of, the contingency really needs to be X percentage when it comes to doing a remodel? I don't know if that kind of makes sense.
So I don't work that way. That's the thing. I don't have any contingencies. What I try to capture is the stuff that is up to me. In other words, I'll give you a kitchen example. Like what I do, there's different tiers of cabinets. I have my showroom and I send them and I tell them I budget you on that project on tier number 1, which include this and this, and my representative on the showroom will show them tier number 1. And then they say, you know what? I fell in love with tier number 2. I want to see. So I update that I try to do as transparent as possible with them.
Sure.
And honestly, I always hit stuff that are, that being in construction, you already know we don't have a good reputation. Some of it is because of people create that reputation. Some of it is because of the nature of the beast, meaning you can't see behind walls. When you do your estimate, you typically don't crawl under the house and see if there's a leak or if there's a broken pipe or the sewer is leaking, or you can't foresee everything, right? So for us, some people take advantage of it and say, you know what, that's my chance. I already have them in a contract and the pipe is broken. I'm going to send it. It's going to cost me $500. I'm going to sell it for $3,000. I'm going to make my profit because he's locked. There's nothing he can do. And people, I've seen that practice happen so long. Like people sell kitchen in a very, very cheaply, and will hit people with change orders afterwards and try to make their profit. And it's screw me over in so many ways. And because they're automatically suspicious of you and everything you tell them because they got burned. Honestly, I would act the same way. Whatever you tell them, they don't really believe you. They don't really, even if it makes perfectly sense and you're being 100% honest with them, you're having such a hard time convincing them. When I come to referrals, people that recommended me that thing, even if someone got burned, I don't have to struggle with the same thing because people know that you did, for John, you did extra work for, and he trusted you and he recommended you, and you come and it's a different experience. But you have to convert those people into believers again because it's hard. I've seen people, I won't say tortured, but took a lot of money from them and left them like that with a broken kitchen and took, I want to say 80% of the cost after demo because people were clueless and paid them, 50% on before the job even started, So we try to educate as well. Even if I don't accept the job and I go and meet with people, I try to educate them of what to do and ask them the right questions of before they even sign the contract or agreeing with. And I always tell them advice is free. I'm here. Ask me anything. It's not going to cost you anything. Ask me whatever. I don't mind sometimes because around the Burbank area, Glendale area, North Hollywood, I don't mind even going back to people just so they can ask questions. It's important, you want people to not take advantage of because it's easy to take advantage of people in that business. So,
yeah. Well, they don't know.
They don't know exactly.
Right? They go to a car mechanic and they're like, oh, you have to replace the engine.
Right. You go to a mechanic and you tell you, oh, your carburetor or whatever is gone and you have to replace it. It's going to cost you $5,000. It's like, okay, my car is here. I can't move it. I have to tow it. Okay, just do it. I don't know what it means. Just do it, kind of a thing. And then you find out the carburetor is, $500 and charge you 10 times whatever it is. And yeah, I get the feeling like that too. And it's
disheartening.
It is very, and it gives bad reputation to honest people that try to do the right thing. And honestly, I'm not the cheapest contractor out there. And I've been straightforward with people, and I say, you know what, if you're looking for the cheapest or someone that's close to the cheapest, I'm not your guy. I'm not that person you're looking for, and you're more than welcome to look for someone else. My guys and sometimes people get upset that why you're not trying to beat that price or be close to that price. It's because my overhead is different than other companies. If I was 10 years ago, I would probably try to compete, and my overhead was much smaller. And the crews that I used to use are not as professional as I have them today. And for so many years, they've been training, and their expertise, you pay for expertise. And if that's what you're looking for, then great, we're on the same page. If not, I'll give you as much advice as I can. I'll shake their hand, and even though I spend an hour with them, I don't see it as wasteful. It's, if someone got anything good out of it.
Yeah. I know a contractor, he's actually an electrician, and he says, like, depending on where he goes, he has to charge accordingly. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, if I go to Malibu, Beverly Hills, I actually charge more. And I said, why? He said, because they always have changes, but they hate change orders. So he's like, so he actually just bakes it in.
Right.
It's almost like he bakes in the change order. So if they're like, no, I don't like that light, can you move it half an inch? He doesn't have to give him a change order because it was already factored in.
Right. I can't do that. Like, it's just because I feel where I live, so I'll tell you that I live in Northridge. My house probably worth the same as if you go to Burbank to a 1,500 square feet house that have a 5,500 square feet lot. My
Yeah.
house cost wise is the same, but if you walk into my house, it's bricks, it's 3,500 square feet. It looks impressive. And I've seen so many people that just by the way they see my house, their price bumps this like 20-30% on top of. So if I'll get a quote over the phone and they say, I have 35 windows that I need clean and many doors, and they'll give me a quote over the phone and they say it's going to cost you $100 a window. And they come here and then their price is going to $150 a window and they can never give you a reason why. And that pissed me off, because you came and changed. The window is the same window. The window didn't change.
Yeah.
But so for me, I've seen that happening and really pissed me off. And I don't feel like I'm doing that. That's one of the reasons that I really like enjoying and working in Burbank, Glendale areas and the surrounding. The houses are all the same, and then not the same, but okay, this guy have 1,500 square feet, this one have 1,700 square feet. It's the difference is not that big. And if I go to a houses where it's, let's say, in the hills or something like that, my price stay the same, and it doesn't matter for me. Yes, if I have to do more work for it, absolutely yes.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, same as when you see a certain, like a lot of people will do it with ethnicity. Their prices will change because of ethnicity. And I can't do that. It's not fair. So
yeah. No, that's fair. So when you're talking about building in different areas, dealing with the city of LA is challenging. I've dealt with them before.
Did you deal with the city of Burbank before?
Not yet.
Or Glendale?
That's the funny part. Like, I've heard Santa Monica's a bitch.
Yes,
I've heard Beverly Hills
is
rough. I've heard like Beverly Hills has had you do
West
things that's
Hollywood.
like, I've heard that too. Like some of these cities, like what is some of the red tape that you're having to go through with these cities?
So and I always say it to, again, when I'm dealing with Burbank and Glendale, their city are notorious. And when I'm saying I'm talking about the city itself, planning, building departments, I'm not talking about the inspectors. Honestly, inspectors, there's bad apples everywhere. But I want to say in all my years in the business, I can count on one hand when I had issues with inspectors, or I even had to go to the chief inspector or the supervisor. Inspectors are awesome as long as you treat them with respect. Your job site is clean and you're following what they're saying. And honestly, a lot of the inspector already know my company. They see it and they know what to expect. So for that, but the planning department, the building department, a lot of the time you feel like they're not working for the citizen, for the resident. It feels like they're working for their ego, and they're working to try to get more money to the city in a way. You feel like they don't have the benefit of the citizen in a lot of the cases. It's nitpicking, it's ego, it's a lot of stuff. And I'm saying it mainly in the small cities or the city that are notorious or they're considered to be more high end, like you say, Santa Monica, West Hollywood, those areas. They'll make you go through loops and hoops and for their amusement and for no reason, just because okay, you're doing plans and your plans are going, let's say you're doing an ADU and you submit your plans, they come back with correction, which is normal. It happens once or twice. But when it's going to fourth or fifth round, because instead of the architect wrote, instead of existing, you need to write new, give me a break. The plans are months in there. Just move it on. Okay, we'll fix it. No problem. But just give us the approval. Let's move away. Let us start the project. Work with us. Most of the time you don't feel like they're working with you. And I want to say also that the same example that when I gave you when I had construction in my house, that you don't feel like you don't know how does it feel on your own skin. Similarly is going with the city fees. The amount of fees and the loop that they make you go through is it's insane. Like you have fee for everything, and you know what? If you don't pay that fee, you can't keep going on your project. So you can't even fight it because you fighting it delays your project. You can't keep going. So which one would you choose? To delay a project, which will cost you money because you're paying mortgage on the house you're doing, So you
Mhm.
prefer that 2 weeks of delay, or you prefer to just, I'll pay that 350 no one's fee to keep going. So, and I learned that there's so many made up fees that it's so
Yeah.
unnecessary. And and I say building that duplex that I'm doing right now, and I'm also doing a garage conversion for myself. The tens and thousands of dollars that you have to pay, it's ridiculous. It feels like it's so mind blowing. I didn't know it's that high. Most of the projects that I do, remodeling, ADUs, room addition, yes, it's expensive, but when to that scale, when it gets to tens and thousands of dollars, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And then people wonder why people always complain about affordable housing. And I'm like, you don't understand. I don't get like a ton of views on my YouTube channel. I'll be the first to admit that. But my second most popular video is the cost of building in LA. And it's an
Oh,
old video. I need to update it. But I actually did the math. It's actually mathematically impossible to build affordable housing
it's
because
impossible.
the fees are what they are, whether you're building in Pacoima or Westwood. The cost of drywall,
Right.
plumbing, electrical, it's all the same. That's why you don't see homes being built in Pacoima. You're seeing them built in Beverly Hills because it's the difference is the finishes, which is what,
Did
10%
you
difference,
did you
15?
ever seen like pre-COVID? Let's talk pre-COVID. Did you ever seen the cost of houses in Joshua Tree?
No, I would imagine it's cheap before it became an Airbnb hotspot.
Right before COVID, houses went 120,000. Palmdale.
Yeah.
So you say Airbnb, all that. Okay, let's put aside. Palmdale, hundred thousand
Hmm.
dollars, 1,800 square feet house. I don't want to say brand new. I'm saying built in the early 2000s, which is in my book, doing construction in California.
Hmm.
That's rare and doesn't exist other than maybe
Sure.
Santa Clarita area. How do they build that? How do you buy a lot? How do you buy a
Right?
house for $120,000? Where? Show me a square
Yeah.
foot. Someone that you can pay someone $100 square foot. I'm not talking about even pre-COVID. I'm talking about 20 years ago. Those things wouldn't. It's not existing. So I don't get it. I used to see same thing in Big Bear, and I'm talking about. I'm going like let's say 8 years before COVID. Let's say 2020, right? So let's say 7 years, 2019. Big Bear houses,
Hmm.
120,000, 100,000. Building a cabin, 1,500 square feet, 1,200 square feet cabin. It's insane. Joshua Tree, I've seen it for a fact because I know people that bought it for 120, and after COVID, their property went from 120 overnight, almost overnight, to 400 or 450,000,
Yeah.
which is mind blowing. And now you can't find anything under, 350, and it's a shed. You buy a shed for
Right.
300, 350. It's so in here it's double that.
Yeah.
The size of the house at some point, if it's over 1,000 square feet, doesn't matter because the lot cost also is
Sure.
crazy. It's crazy. Can you find a lot here that is in reasonable
Actually
price?
buildable.
Yeah, buildable. And
Right?
not even a flipper. Let's say you want to build for yourself. Can you create a house and a lot together in a decent area? Forget that there's no lots in decent areas anymore. But if you find it, can you build something under a million?
It depends on the
Listen,
size, right? Depends on the finishes.
let's say
It's
let's say a standard 3-2, right? Three bedroom, two bath,
sure.
16, 1,700 square feet with a lot. I
Yeah.
don't think you can
Oh,
find a lot,
yeah.
and
I don't
yeah,
think so.
you can.
No, not if you're factoring in the cost of the lot. I mean, what's actually in what I've noticed over the last few years, I meet a couple like people who bought land, right, years ago.
Mhm.
And they're like, hey, I'm thinking about selling the lot. I'm like, cool. Let's take a look. So they send it to me online and I'm like, okay, I see the road that leads up to the lot. I'm like, how wide is that road? And they're like, oh, it's about one car length. I'm like, well, fun fact, they changed the building codes to where
Right.
now it needs to be 2 cars wide. I'm like, I'm sorry, but your lot's actually worth zero. Your best bet is to actually sell to a neighbor, unless you
And
can widen that
and
street.
you'll see a lot of those people that don't do their due diligence and don't go to the city and
Yeah.
find out what's wrong with that lot. And if it's too good to be true and that lot standing there for years, there's something wrong with it. You just need to find what it
Hmm.
is. There's no findings because before you, there were probably 20 investors that doing those deals day and night that knew not to take that lot. And if it's too good to be true, just stay out of it.
Yeah.
I've seen those a lot.
Yeah, I tell a lot of people, I was like, look, if you're planning on building something, but you don't necessarily have the budget for it, it doesn't hurt to get the plans done and approved. Because once the plans are approved, even if, and correct me if I'm wrong, even if building codes change, you have so many months that your permits are good for. So it's almost like
Years,
spend the
it's not months,
$5,000.
it's years.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So it's like spend the $5,000 to $10,000, get everything ready to go, because God forbid building codes change and then you decide to build. Now you can't do what you wanted. And now you're
right.
screwed.
I want to tell you, how they had the I think they came up with the ADU. This whole ADU thing started popping. Start hearing about it everywhere, and they approved those certain different codes in California that allow you that bend some of the rules. So me working mainly in those small lots cities, which Glendale, Burbank, North Hollywood, they're not blessed with 10,000 square feet lots. They're usually 55 to 65. So a lot of them before 2017 couldn't build an ADU because they didn't have 20% radius on their on driveway. So that will automatically burn them, and they cannot do that. 2017 happened, and they removed that 20% turning radius. Everybody in Burbank wanted to do that. What happened in Burbank, you couldn't approve plans for ADUs in Burbank and Glendale for, I want to say, probably a year and a half out, because the city was so backed up, because everybody's taking advantage of that and sending their ADUs plans, and they didn't know what to do. They hired a third-party company to go over their plans because of the volume that they got. And people were scared to miss that boat. Why they changed that? It was so crazy. Everybody did ADUs, and in Burbank, it was so crazy. You'll see it everywhere. But even till now, a lot of people still doing that, and they still getting ricocheted from the city. Still takes a long time to approve plans in those small cities because still a lot of people trying to do those.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine.
And then Airbnb starts getting in there, and people start, making money out of that. So it brought like a second wind to it, and people are doing it more now.
No, for sure. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been amazing. How can people get a hold of you?
They can find us through Yelp mainly. That's what I would recommend. If you're looking for a contractor, Yelp is a strong tool for me. Reliable reviews, and it's free estimate. We come and meet with you, and our business recently expanded to more of a family. My brother is working with me in the last couple of years. So we'll gladly come and give you free estimate for whatever you need. And if just let us know cost. You have our email there, a phone number. Do you want me to plug it in, or my phone number?
Yeah, we'll have everything in the show notes so people can get a hold of you.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. All right, Mike. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. And for everyone listening or watching, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Want to keep unlocking the secrets to building real wealth in Los Angeles? Stick around for the next episode. Tap the video on screen to keep watching.